I can guarantee that everyone in this class has used some form of social media, that being Facebook, YouTube, or other platforms. And while using these platforms, we're seeing people getting bullied, and we are seeing an ideal person. And for the most part, majority of us spend 3 to 4 hours daily on social media. I've been using social media since I was in middle school by watching YouTube and even participating on platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. I see a bunch of personas being displayed on social media, and they're seeing people portraying positive personas are putting other people down just because they're trying to be accepted in the community. I have done various amounts of research from articles, studies, and even papers, and I can confidently say that social media does more harm than good. There's an illusion that social media portrays which negative affects the users, and it causes more harm than good to these users. I will first talk about how social media lowers a person's self-esteem and creates unrealistic beauty standards. Second, I will discuss how social media is a platform where one can express themselves freely. And lastly, I will talk about how social media creates an environment where cyberbullying is normal. Social media is a platform people get their self-esteem lowered and are shown unrealistic beauty standards. Australian Christian College, or ACC in short, states in the article that there's an increment in depressive symptoms that is directly correlated with smartphone consumption between 2010 and 2015. They noted from 500,000 students from the years 8 to 12th grade that there was a 33% increase in the number of adolescents with high levels of depressive symptoms, and 31% more died by suicide. This increase was driven almost exclusively by females. ACC also found from the study that from social media usage and 6,595 adolescents whom spend more than 3 hours daily on social media, that they are at an increased risk for mental problems. These mental problems are internalizing problems such as symptoms of anxiety, depression, loneliness, suicidal thought, and even negative self-image and loneliness. A social media overload, particularly with teenage girls, is leads to problems with self-esteem. Many of these girls are bombarded with their friends posting the most perfect picture of themselves, or they're following celebrities and influencers who do a lot of photoshopping and have makeup and hair teams, states Dr. Alexander Hamlet, a clinical psychologist from Chalmers Institute. Illinois University also states that with constant exposure to images posted online, it is evident that there's a link to how individuals compare themselves and perceive their own body. Social media is unfortunately shaping our concept of beauty. A negative body image can cause unrealistic beauty standards to how someone's body should look, and this can lead to unhealthy eating habits and eating disorders. Additionally, Photoshop and filters are readily available to users to play to this unrealistic body image. Anna Sundquist, a communication intern from NEDA, which is National Eating Disorder Association, found from a study that even 30 minutes on social media can make women fixate negatively on their weight and on their appearance. Insider also points out in the article that people end up creating unrealistic ideals for themselves based on what they see, and they feel distressed when they aren't able to meet these ideals or even self expectations. So now that I've talked about how social media creates unrealistic beauty standards and lowers someone's self-esteem, I will move on and talk about how social media is a platform where people can express themselves freely. Social media gives the creator the tool and the opportunity to say what they want and to get feedback. Twitter, for example, is a platform where most people express themselves freely and get positive feedback the majority of the time. Social media is a place where it promotes body positivity, and there are various platforms where they can make users feel accepted and teach them ways to appreciate their own body. Insider states that advocates of body positivity and influential figures definitely have a unique ability to make positive impact on how people view themselves and their body, especially when it comes to young people. Social media allows for people to post positive things about themselves or where they are happy. However, whenever people are posting body positivity or something positive about themselves, there are internet trolls or people that find ways to ruin how the person feels. Places like TikTok like to discourage people that are making a change for themselves and like to cyberstalk them or even cyberbully them. Social media is always having a social comparison, which is directly linked to lowering self-esteem and having higher social anxiety. Places like Facebook makes it easier to create an exciting existence, and even enhance certain things from the users. And these users have the ability to use filters and Photoshop, where they can negatively, but falsely make themselves look better. And when Twitter is usually always a general good place to go on. However, places like Instagram, people are always constantly judging themselves more often than others because they're seeing these ideal persons on social media. Jill M. Emanuel, who has a PhD and is a senior director of the Mood Disorder Center at the Child Mind Institute, states that Photoshop and filters creates a distorted fantasy world and raises the bar on what people perceive as the best way to be. So now let's talk about how social media is a platform where people can express themselves freely and how internet trolls and other people affect these people. I will talk about how social media creates an environment where cyberbullying is normal. In the article in Cyberbullying via Social Media by Elizabeth Whitaker and Robin M. Kowalski, they have done certain studies about cyberbullying. In their first study, it is noted that most participants use the internet for around 1 to 6 hours daily, while 45% of these participants were using around 3 to 4 hours daily. The places where participants were almost victimized by cyberbullying was texting, Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube. 55% of these participants have stated they have witnessed cyberbullying at least once in the past year. 25% of the participants said that they did nothing when being cyberbullied. 31% reported the incident of cyberbullying. 29% asked the cyberbullier to stop. 13.6% cyberbullied the cyberbully back. 11.4% made fun of the cyberbully to other people. And 18.2% saved the evidence. And 34% just blocked the person that was cyberbullying them on social media. Also, it is noted in the first study that 50% of the time that person was being cyberbullied, that the victim was their friend. The person that was cyberbullying someone was their friend, or their own friend. While people are on social media, they are adapting to a different set of social norms, since they aren't interacting with the person one-on-one. These adolescents are found to be more aggressive and or even critical due to the social media anonymity that they create online. Teenagers who are addicted to social media are most likely to engage in cyberbullying. And even though people are getting these negative consequences of being on social media, they're continuously still using it because they're addicted to being on social media and having a platform where they can see whatever they want. While these adolescents are cyberbullying someone, they don't have as much remorse or even empathy since they can't come in direct contact with the person. So now that I've talked about how social media is a place where cyberbullying is normal, I would like to conclude and state how social media creates more harm than good, since there are more opportunities to harm someone than to benefit someone. I first talked about how social media lowers an individual's self-esteem and how it shows people unrealistic beauty standards and it creates an environment where cyberbullying is normal. And then I mentioned how social media has some benefits, but then I debunked it by telling how people creep on the internet and bully someone and tell them that what they're trying to portray is wrong. And so social media is a huge platform where people go every day to motivate themselves and enjoy themselves. However, it is more common to be hurt when you see online like videos or direct comments. Social media is a platform where it does have its pros. However, there are more cons that diminish these pros. Seeing how easy it is to put someone down because of something we don't like just shows how social media is influencing our culture. The integrity of social media is still there. However, social media is causing more harm than good on individuals. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a very good day.